Marathon Meeples Top 100, 60 to 51. If you're interested in watching our series, please hit the subscribe button.
60 Marvel Champions. We also had Marvel Legendary on the list up in like the high 80s. This is kind of the spiritual successor to this, but it's a card-driven game. So in this game, you are playing a superhero, and it plays well solo and also plays well multiplayer. And you're flipping back and forth between your hero and your alter ego to take out a master villain and then his series of minions and events underneath. Unique system, at least for me, and it's fun. Like, each character plays differently, all the villains play differently. I don't know how far into this system I'll get, because even as of now, there's just so much of it, you don't really know where to start. But each expansion pack comes with its own unique villain and kind of own unique story. So at least within that, it's somewhat self-contained.
59 is Shelfie Stacker. This is a board game by Shem Phillips, known for Go-Field games, things like Paladins of the West Kingdom. But this is a lighter game, and it's kind of the ode to board gamers in the sense that you are trying to use dice with different pips on them that are meant to be board games, and you're filling a shelf. But what's really cool about it are the powers and the artwork and kind of the little inside jokes, if you're in the board game world, that they built onto the cards.
Interactive dice drafting game. I enjoy it, and I think it's probably bumped up by the art and the style and just like the board game kind of community feel that it has to it.
Yeah, it's a game that we'll definitely use as a filler game between like heavier games at group, because everybody gets a good chuckle.
Number 58, Clans of Caledon. And admittedly, we have not played this much. We've played this twice. We've played this at group, and we've played it once amongst ourselves. So I could see this rising in future editions. This is the same system as Gaia Project and Terra Mystica, and you're a Scottish clan. You're just expanding out across the board. Buying resources, selling resources, fulfilling contracts. The thing that stands out to me are the variable player powers and the component quality, and I love a game, and I know it shouldn't matter, but I love a game that comes in a reasonably sized box. This box is full, but it's also, not 3 times the size. So, love it. Great game. Takes great photos. I don't know. Does that count? Thanks for helping out there.
Well, I was going to, and then you're like, and it takes great photos.
Number 57 is probably one of my top solo games of all time, Comanchinera. This is by GMT Games and Joel Toppin. So in this game, this kind of recreates, it's a historical recreation to a point, of the Comanche Empire and how they basically were just getting kind of contracted in by European and then eventually American expansion. So it's a great game. We play over a number of eras. It's hard. It has a rule book that is kind of like you're just following along in sequence, but it's a unique game, and it really kind of, from a historical flavor, it makes you kind of understand what was going on during the time. So great solo game. It's out of print. I don't know if it will come back into print anytime soon, but if you can get a copy of this or previous game in the series, Navajo Wars, I'd highly recommend it.
Number 56 is Biblios. It's the first Steve Finn game that we had, and it's set collection. Basically, you are going to be bidding on different cards, and you can actually, on the second round, try to buy them. So you're drafting round 1, round 2, you're going to bid on those cards that you passed on.
The thing I like about this game is market manipulation. So you can move up. Let's say I'm collecting a certain color. There's 5 colors in the game. If I'm collecting red, and it might be worth at the end of the game 5 points to begin with, she can start whittling it down. So if she knows, okay, I'm not even playing red at all, I'm going to make red worth a point. So you kind of doing this back and forth where colors you think you're going to win, because only the winner scores the points in a 2-player game. You're trying to move your colors up by still collecting enough and also getting in the other person's way, or you're trying to move their colors down.
Number 55 is Mombasa. This is a game where you are expanding from Cape Town with diamond mines, and you are moving up different tracks. You're trading in bananas, cotton, and coffee in order to buy stocks and shares in 4 different companies while moving along other tracks.
Yeah, great game in terms of mechanics, great at higher player counts. Probably could use a theme refresh. But it's definitely worth playing. I think we'd play it again at a con, but I don't need to own it. Number 54 is Renegade. Now that's a game I would like to own again. I sold it because I was anticipating an upcoming Kickstarter, which has not yet happened because the company got sold and they haven't reissued it. Anyways, it is a 1 to 4 player game by Ricky Royal, but it's primarily a solo game. You're playing a hacker, you're going across a network, you're trying to basically get through the different systems and a number of cards to do it in a Mage Knight-like fashion. So fast playing, good solo game, lots of good combos, lots of interesting decisions, and the way that the villains and the bots work is every game is different every time.
Number 53 is Rolling Realms. So this is a game where you are using dry erase markers, you have individual codes, and the cool part is there are multiple codes, and you always play a game with 3 codes. So each time you play, you are going to be mixing and matching. But it is a multiplayer solitaire game. You are doing whatever you want on your 3 cards, and you're playing off the numbers that are rolled, and everybody uses those numbers.
Yeah, it definitely is multiplayer solitaire. You don't know if anybody else is at the table, so I would say it's one downside. I'd say one positive thing is, and Lisa laid it out, is you play, I think it's 15 cards, and you play 3 cards per round. So a lot of roll and writes, you kind of get one deck. Maybe you have like 2 or 3 decks of different sheets, and you're always playing that same deck. With this one, you're always playing different combos based on what's getting drawn. And you can always, the beauty of this system is you can keep adding new cards to it. So while there's like 15 games now, you can bring this thing out to 25, 30, and it just keeps adding variability to it. So I think it's a nice game, and I think it's a very interesting system.
And the theme of the game is basically all of the Stonemaier games have one individual code, and it pulls little elements out of those games. So there's Wingspan and Viticulture that have codes, as well as Tapestry. 52 is Embarcadero. I like this game. You are in San Francisco at the docks, and you are basically building up a city on top of floating barges.
Yeah, I think you've rated it a little highly. I like the game, but 52, come on now. It's a good game. It has plastic minis, and I think it has very good table presence. It's a new game. It only came out a few months ago, but it has a look and aesthetic to it like it's an old school game. If you didn't have the plastic, I think people would think, oh, you're playing a game from the 80s. So I don't want to say that's a bad thing because it historically has a unique kind of a look and aesthetic to it. But I think it's a very interactive game as well because you want to place your barges off of docks and the people invariably going to try to get in your way. And there's also different tracks. You're competing for different ships. It's an interactive Euro that plays quickly.
And the area control of this game is really interesting because not only is it flat, but it also goes up because you can build your buildings vertically as well as along the docks. So that's an interesting element that a lot of other area control games do not have. Number 51 is Ticket to Ride Europe. Now, this is a family favorite, and it is scored where it is because I have been playing this game for at least 10 years now with my family, and I absolutely love it. Matthias is gracious enough to play Ticket to Ride with my family because otherwise his other option is Catan.
I like Ticket to Ride. I think you guys played a little much. Why don't you tell everybody how you guys played it wrong for years until I came and actually read the rule book?
We may have collected ticket codes along the way and then on our turn built every single thing that we could build out of the cards in our hand on one build action. That way we figured nobody could get in your way because they didn't know what you were building. So nobody could block you.
Yeah.
Little did we know, after probably 5 or at least 4 years of playing, this guy would come into the family, read the rule book, and crush my parents' hopes and dreams.
Yeah, that was the worst because every game was like 3 hours and everybody would have a stack of cards like this, and it's like, I'm going to build literally like 7 routes all at once, and then just boom, 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 boom. So, yeah, I don't know what this has to do with this being at number 51, but Ticket to Ride I think is good. I like the expansions, add a lot of different mechanics and different kind of themes and different styles to the game. So I just think like vanilla Ticket to Ride, I'm kind of done right now, but I do like how they kind of keep adding new wrinkles, and they also they only do it like once every year or two, so it's not like here's 57 expansions all at once. They kind of here's a new set of maps, and you can kind of think on it a little bit, and you can work yourself into the different style before just inundating.
But at the end of the day, for the game itself, it is a set collection route building game.
Oh, I think anybody watching this knows what Ticket to Ride is.
All right,
Do you want to
enough
explain
out of
Monopoly
me.
next, or what?
We can also explain Connect 4 if you'd like.
Oh gosh, okay.
All right, on that note, that is the end of this video. If you want to see the rest in the series, please do hit that subscribe button.